It does seem like, in many ways, the way you're describing it, I feel like you share a vision much more in line with maybe Triple H's vision of wrestling as opposed to Vince McMahon. It's not that you don't
Oh
have
yeah,
appreciation for both, but
sure.
Triple H, and I can speak to this, I grew up loving Vince McMahon's vision, so I'm not tearing it down by any stretch. As I've gotten older, I definitely have more of an appreciation for NXT, what 205 was and what it could have been. And I could talk an hour about that because I thought 205 Live in like 2018 and 2019, even though it was, 10 o'clock on a Friday night with fans who
Yeah.
didn't care, I thought it had one of the best rosters in the business and had some of the, like, you had like Drew Gulak, Mustafa Ali, you had Buddy Murphy, you had
Oh yeah.
Hideo Tommy, Cedric, like eventually 3 Point or Everrise were included, on and on and on. And I think if they followed the Cruiserweight Classic strategy with 205 Live, I think it could have been bigger.
Yeah.
I think it needed like Full Sail. I think it needed to be at Full Sail or a small arena like that with fans who were dedicated to the show.
Well, yes, I do agree with you that obviously at Full Sail it would have been great, but so when I was doing 205, it was in such a state of flux. I mean, it went from being 10 o'clock on Fridays live to being taped beforehand in the arena right before SmackDown, then to, oh gosh, then obviously it went to the
Performance Center.
PC with no audience. So, I mean, man, I called so many different versions of 205, but I will say my favorite without a doubt was the 10 o'clock on a Friday night after SmackDown. Sure, the arena wasn't packed, but 3/4 of the people still stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, yeah, it was a little tough at times. But the beautiful thing about 205 Live when it was at 10 o'clock is the show was about 45 minutes and the guys got to work. Like you
Yeah.
were having 15 to 18-minute matches and you really got to tell a story and there was very minimal producing going on.
Mm-hmm.
When I would come backstage after 205, nobody was left with the exception of, Adam Pearce was in my ear. Obviously, he was still there. But not many people were there. Most people had gone home. So you had the guys on 205, they just got to be themselves. It was very low pressure. Even me, who puts tons of pressure on myself, I felt most comfortable at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, knowing that we had some time to tell some stories and just being in an arena. God almighty. There's a couple experiences I'll never forget. But the guys really got to work and tell stories because sometimes you would have as much as 20 minutes. And then you had guys like Arya Davari who really knew how to get a crowd going as a heel.
Also
And
great.
so, it was a challenge, but you're right. It was a great roster. I wasn't there, Buddy was already gone at the time from 205. Gulak was pretty much gone, but we had incredible talent there. We
Mm-hmm.
had Oni Lorcan, we had Danny Burch, we had Angel Garza,
Tony Nese.
Tony Nese. This is when and Swerve. We saw the
Yeah.
the breaking out of Swerve and going up to Worlds Collide in that Fatal 4-Way match. And let's see who else. Tyler Breeze had just kind of returned, and I honestly thought he was on a path to become cruiserweight champion. I'm like, how
Yeah.
cool would that be if Tyler Breeze wins his first ever title in WWE as cruiserweight? That's what I thought was going to happen. But what do
Leo
I know?
Rush was fantastic on there too.
Leo Rush was champion for most of the time when I was calling it. Leo knocked it out of the park. His matches were amazing. I mean, it was a great roster who truly every week had no idea what was happening. It was very all over the place. But I thought everyone made the most of it. And I was very proud of, unfortunately, like I said, the pandemic affected things for all of us and it was cut very short, but man, I appreciated every single second I got to do it. And I have a lot of pride in my work from on that show.
No, absolutely. And I think we made a great point where because maybe it wasn't as overproduced, that's part of the reason why it was so good because it felt different to Raw and SmackDown. And again, it's not that Raw and SmackDown are bad, but I think if you're gonna have the different brands, they need to feel different.
Yeah.
Just as a fan, because if I'm gonna watch the Raw and SmackDown presentation, I'm gonna watch it with the top stars. If I want to watch something different, I want to see people bring something different, and that's what 205 Live did.
It was a wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
Quite simply, it was a wrestling show with great matches, incredible athletes, and some of the best performers that you can see in a ring. That's what it was, and it was a lot of fun.